Good evening, and welcome everybody to your Friday night Castlevania randomizer. My name is Dathis, and here we have Celine Belmont. Wait, I'm sorry. No, hold on. Let me check my notes real quick. No, this is actually your Friday night community race, which is the loveliness of the Summoner's Journey. I'm joined here in the booth by Deathlake with the lovely Asuka and Dubward on restreaming and tracking respectively. How are we doing today, Deathlake?
Pretty good. It's a night good night for a curse, as they say. So yeah, summoners. I see. Yes, a cute kid who needs a lot of help. Personal probably second character I would yeet, but since this is a Sea Hero seed, we can't yeet her, so that's not gonna happen tonight.
That is very true. Although I did run these flags on the Monday night race, I did not join on this salty runback because I'm here to talk about it instead. The nice thing is we do start with the whip kit, which means that Rydia does have a chance of getting any one of her lovely whips. If she starts off with the Dragon Whip again, as she previously did, she's gonna be able to do some really good damage. So don't really knock her. As much as we love looking at Rydia, oh, just hug the ground and get some XP later. You kind of get yourself a heroine robe. You get yourself the Dragon Whip. She's going to do some okay damage. Flame Whip in a pinch, but can't really argue.
Just hope for the Dragon Whip, and everything else is kind of junk. A Flame Whip does not excite me. The Dragon Whip, best good for the egg grind. Probably will need a grind, and egg grind will be quick. The Dragon Whip, early game pretty good. Late game, it's kind of like using pretty much like the flame weapons or like Earth Hammer. They're strong, but they're not like end game Berserker strong. So don't expect much, but we'll probably see little Rydia hit things. I mean, I'm excited for that.
Absolutely, especially with who she's paired with, which we were going to find out in very shortly. The gate is going to drop for our racers in a few seconds. The nice thing about this is we have a whole heap and help and a lot of fights for Rydia to take care of. We have the King of Summon Monsters location, the Queen of Summon Monsters locations, Baron Basement, Cave Bahamut, and Waking Yang with the Pan. Meaning we are looking for a very minimum of 4 key items: Underground Access, the Baron Key, the Pan, and the Darkness Crystal. Today's pairing is we have Team Murder Children with a Cursed Ring, which you'd love to see. There's an Asura and a Blitz Whip. Honestly, for a start, can't really argue with that. You have Asura for some healing. You've got your Blitz Whip for some damage against if you find an early Odin. And yeah, you don't find a White Mage, Rydia's gonna make one in a pinch.
Yeah, early on we won't have enough MP to do much. We'll take some levels, so that's good. Yeah, so I guess we'll have to grind early, but Palm should make this easier. With the Cursed Ring, probably will probably end up on Rydia sooner rather than later. We'll see when that happens. Not too early. And it looks like they're off doing some looting, and hey, everyone has decided the same place. Waterway, pretty lucrative, little, especially with T Wildish with the assist. I think we're capped at tier 6. Hey, and free characters. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. T Wildish plus a free character. Watery Pass is probably one of the highest priority checks that you can possibly make. Doesn't really replace the wall chicken that I was kind of hoping to find, but in the same token, those Dragoon Gauntlets doing all right. We got an Assassin Dagger as well, a weapon that Kane can also equip, because you can equip pretty much any weapon that we're going to be able to find here. So you kind of can't really go wrong. And a Dwarf Axe, even to back row him. This Kane can just hang out in the back row with everybody else, and we're about to have a really good time.
Yeah, I think with some probably not doing. We're definitely they might see the Troy Treasury, but there is no free key item, so we are gonna see a Demist Hunt. So that's gonna be exciting. The fun thing about this flag set is, while it feels like you're doing a case summon check, their case summon is not on. So if we do an objective, you're not gonna get a key item. so you might get something worthwhile. And hey, Rosa, free Rosa, that's certainly gonna. We probably won't need that Azure too soon.
This is very true. That Rosa is, though, absolutely fantastic. You give her a little bit of the damage items, and you can kind of let Porum do her thing. Well, the D-Mist hunt is absolutely over. There's a Kane. There's your D-Mist. You kind of... I mean, we're not going very far to find some stuff. We got a couple of Dragoons. We've got ourselves a healer, possibly. And we've got a free key item check. This is... yeah, this is a whole lot within the first not even 3 minutes of our seed.
Yeah, I think probably we'll see some decent characters later on. They're notably DK Cecil and definitely Fu. Edge also on the comp, and I think Tella is actually on the restricted list. So we'll probably not see too exciting characters, but we're gonna still have a decent party. Maybe swap like in say Cubs rules case, maybe one of the Canes out if a Cecil is found. Probably still might do mount reveals, but given that they're restricted, they're probably not the first thing to do, but maybe the last location if there's a key item that's gating might be on mount reveals.
Absolutely. We also see that we have a Palom and Porum spot, and we have yet another Kane. So our current party is Rydia, Kane, Porum, Palom. A lot of twins means that we do have the possibility of having both of those twins cast twin, if you want to take both of them, which will make the overworld extremely free.
Yeah, was it a Porum or a double Palom?
Palom.
That's a safe thing. Given that even a base Palom does not have any like naturally useful spell. You have like the level 1 spells. Having early twin, just get that battle done, and boom, they have levels, and they have the level 2 elementals immediately available. So that's kind of early twin is very powerful.
Speaking of early twin, we have an early imp. The free summon on Hobbs is in fact the imp summon. You reset out of that. I can kind of get behind that. It's not a fantastic summon. Oh look, we have yet another twin, but this one is of the sister variety. We have Palom, we have Porum, we have the proper twins. So we've got mages galore and a single bruiser who is kind of okay right now. Again, Kane is solid if we can get him a decent spear or maybe even like a poison axe of some variety, but that is generally about it. Also, a question from chat, is Adult Rydia is going to be cosplaying Terra tonight? No, that's just the Sea Hero avatar we have for her. She is, in fact, as pointed out by the lovely art dev who has done all of these fab palettes, we are going to be letting it go for Elsa.
How cold. Hey, there's some vanilla. It's true vanilla. But that's I'm gonna ask for French vanilla soon. But hey, it's what you're looking. It's your thing.
Look, we already had French vanilla in Palom and Porum spots, so we've got a little bit of both here. But yeah, we do see another little bonus of both these Paloms are going to be using Bluff. They are going to get a nice twin cast off that's going to do a lot of damage to this Mylon. Kane's going to jump, and Rosa's basically going to keep the HP as high as possible. This Ogopogo fight is actually deceptively rude in the simple fact that if you're not full HP, again, half of your HP gone right off the hop. It's a low HP spot, but it's just not fun. And as we see, using J items counters with that Blaze spell does 25% of your HP. It's yeah, this is just rude on rude on rude.
I'm actually I'm not as threatened by Ogo this spot. The Antlion spot doesn't really punch very hard, and on top of you have so little HP, so it's actually easier to heal for the most part. Like you can see Rydia, while almost crippled, but not dead. So, the sequence is starting to look bad because but I probably Kane will survive it out, but not. I'm not really concerned about that. I'll just have to do enough damage, and there it is. Beauty has that battle taken care of.
And we do not have an Oh My Body skip. S-Grunt does get through that Mylon fight, getting a bunch of fights, a bunch of level star on everybody, which is kind of what you want to see. All those tier 2 spells coming from both Palums. And the fact that we do have, again, as you mentioned, beating Discovery through, we're going to get our very first key item check that wasn't given to us. And that's a Rat Tail. That's, as for right now, a dead item slot, but you kind of hope to find a hook somewhere in the near future.
Yeah, probably first thing to turn in, but, you know, right now, yeah, it's not, it's just in the back of your mind. Not something, but hey, you want to probably try to get that key item count up quickly. There's gonna, if we're gonna keep Radia, probably might have to go to Nuke, and that's a million XP requirement. Hey, back row Baigan, not fun, but should be doable. Although I think Radia might be taking a nap sooner rather than later.
Yeah, but we're okay with Rydia taking a nap. That's fine. You can have both Palums have yourselves cast up some bluffs there, get their magic power up, and then those twin casts are just going to make very short work of this. Rosa with the firebomb throwing out, that is the one that does based on your HP percentage. So not a lot of damage, but enough to get you into trouble. Also, Cubs, being one of the ones to have found that D-Mist, is going to cash it in immediately. Catclaw for a Yang if we find one, which is really nice.
Yeah, probably should have not used the firebomb. That the flare from Twin is reflectable. This would actually, you probably should have aimed for just using Twin outright. Don't even bother using a spell, as Baigan's body will cast wall on himself. So, and that comment only hit the body because that was used before the. It did not target the arms because they were gone at that moment. So, timing is slowing down S-Grunt a little bit, and not in an appreciable way. Still, battle's still doable, but Twin probably too risky until that wall. Might actually make sense to reset, although I'm not sure if S-Grunt skip saving for the second battle.
He did make his safety save, so resetting is not a bad idea here. Cubs actually getting a really nice pickup. That was D-Mist holding onto the hook. That's a character check. That's Rat Tail turn in, and that's a lot of value very early on. Yeah, get that hovercraft going. Beauty and Discovery, though, we have a check here happening in Fabul Castle. This is Kainazo. This is where you really want those tier 2 spells. Lit's gonna take care of the water that he's got, and then these ice 2s are going to really hurt. Yeah, as you mentioned, there's the flare counter. That's a lot of damage.
Well, I mean, it only worked if Reflect didn't happen. It's one of those things. So one of those things to note that Twin doesn't actually cause a magic response. So that magic response is Baigan doing wall. So if you know, if you wanted to be safer, never use any of the J items, offensive J items. Just use Twin and forget about it. Then there would be less of a concern of the reflected spell, especially particularly the flare version of Twin, to reflect. Comet does not get reflected. It's the flare part, and you don't at any point, especially this kind of vanilla battle that the Twins normally face, you just want to use the Twin command, or ideally get Quake Kid too, but we don't want to. At this point, it's kind of too early to get that grind, so probably should just go straight Twin and not worry about everything. Just let everyone else heal. That would probably make that easier. Oh, I see a Kainazo. I just don't. Oh, it's the Baron Inn, I think.
No, this is actually, as I mentioned earlier, this is in the Fabul defense.
Oh.
As we also have seen, Maiden Quebec does get through the fight. S-Grunt gets through a very rough Baigan fight. Very well done on him for executing it like that. And Cubs, additionally, speaking of twins, we have Twin Magic, we have Twin Twins, and we also have the Twin Heart from that Rat Tail. So another key item rabbit hole currently going down. But yeah, this is kind of the stuff that you love to see. Speaking of loving to see, Beauty and Discovery is loving all these levels that are just going to be coming in fast and furious on his characters. I'm excited to see what the key item is. And we have a second scoop of vanilla. We have another Yang. We have our first Yang in his normal spot.
Daphne, did you roll the seed? I can't believe all this vanilla. There's so much to give her to go around, and that's a darkness with a really spicy probably maybe worth peeking, but it looks like maybe a quarter leg. Oh, that's it's definitely quarter leg. It should not be too bad. Probably can get away with maybe using a Q or 2 item. Just call it a day. Firebomb, kind of useful. That was a one-shot kill. That was easy.
Yeah, the HP here isn't really anything you worry about. You're mostly here just to get it knocked out real quick. If Mom's here, then yeah, it's kind of annoying. But we do also have, yeah, that spiciness in that Darkness Crystal as well. Beauty and Discovery also gets the Earth Crystal. We have Party Rock and we have Moon Rock all in one side of the screen. Whereas the other side of the screen, Cubs Rule is going to show us what's behind this Yang. And Main Quebec is fighting and getting ready to now start the fight with D-Mist round 2.
Having Earth Crystal is exciting, especially with the Cane. You want to do the party rock check. You want to get that. You want to get the spicy treasure, especially with T Wildish on, and just mostly get Cane online. I think Cane needs a decent weapon. I don't know what's equipped. Probably I think the best I remember seeing was a Dwarf Axe, and that's. So it's functional, but I'd like to see something much spicier. Probably Gungnir's, especially with T6, I think. So Gungnir's probably the best you can get with the current flag set.
Is the possibility of Defense Swords 2, which is technically Kane's best weapon, that he can have before we start talking about some of the higher tier spears. But yeah, it can be the best we're going to find out in one of these treasure chests. Beauty and Discovery fighting themselves a Bahamut. I am curious to where this one is. I'm pretty sure this... Oh, this is Baron in 1. Wow, so that means that Baron 2 and Yang is actually pure vanilla. I'm 100% here for this. I didn't even see that when we were talking about some of these rocks that were on screen.
Yeah, there's just a lot of action going on. It is. So... Yang at this spot punches really hard. Kind of a vanilla thing, but also a kind of dummy behavior. It was the punching was supposed to happen if a DKC was in the party and it went to punch. So I think for the purposes of free enterprise, that part of the script is unlocked. So karate punches and punches hurt a lot more than a kick. And I saw one of Kane's best spears, so Kane is automatically at least a Kane will be automatically online.
Absolutely. With the characters we have here right now, our flex strats are kind of what I'd be leaning towards. You've got more mages that you know what to do with, and it's kind of just a smart call overall, just to make use of what we have there. But yeah, seeing some good Kane weapons, and again, just this fight here in general is basically, again, it's a free-ish fight. It's just a lot more HP than what you might be wanting to deal with, 2000 HP. But again, Beauty and Discovery gets through it nicely. Both Beauty and Cubs are through. That's going to be some good cash-ins. And yeah, like you said, White Spear, fantastic. Actually going to be your biggest damage, especially if it's used as an item right now.
I'm not sure S1 was peaking, but that was a Antlion not on its daily trip to the moon. It happens to just taking a nap in a different location. I think Saskatoon's doing the D-Mist hunt. It seems Alt Gauntlet. Ooh, so Alt Gauntlet not gonna be an issue on this seed. That's great for them. Would have preferred Alt Gauntlet showing up at a much more interesting and fun spot, but not this seed.
Absolutely. As a runner, you love to know that Alt Gauntlet's going to be off the table, but as a commentator and as the audience, we know that we hate to see that. We love to see our runners have to go through some really rude Alt Gauntlets, such as in the Bahamut location, or even in the Ogopogo spot. I know that's a tried and true classic for certain people. Unbeknownst to that, though, Cubs has decided we're going to go underground. We're going to check that character there. Whereas Escrunt, he is going to be taking on this Bahamut and Yang spot, and Maiden Quebec going to be picking up their party rock. While Beauty Discovery, are we about to raid a treasury?
I hope so. Looks like I think some shopping is to be had. probably find some decent stuff. And oh, there's some cured threes available. That's nice given the seed. So Cubs World's trying to find, hey, even more vanilla.
Nom nom
But
nom.
something rude at the end of that. So probably see a ground. Not sure. We're gonna swap Kane for Edge. I kind of want to lean towards Kane because you kind of want to have Val protection to some degree, but because if you're gonna go mage heavy, Kane is a better solution. But we'll see. Maybe keep an Edge. Maybe replace one of the Palms. You probably don't need 2 Palms, but if you're going full mage, then you'll keep a second Palm. We'll see. Well, definitely in Cubs Party, there's dupe Kane. Don't need.
Absolutely. Trying to gear out 1 cane is going to be hard enough. 2 canes, no thank you. Even that's me. That's coming from me here. But yeah, we have a couple of ninja swords, at least one ninja sword. He comes equipped with black belt and bandana, and he's just honestly going to be taking the seed now, and he's going to be slicing up any oil check. You love to see Edge. He is probably one of the better locked characters to find. And again, as we see, a little bit of vanilla. I'm a personal fan of it, but we do have this treasury rated. I kind of can't believe I dozed over it, but we do see a tiara. We see a power shirt. We also, I think, saw a change rod. So we have a good bunch of stuff. That's a treasury and a half that I'd be looting. Oh, and an arty bow there? Yeah, no, this is a solid 8 treasury. This is what you get for this Rosa. Yeah, look at this. Arty bow, mute arrows, tiara. She's geared out, and our girl's ready to do some damage.
Certainly. When you have a pair of power shirts, arty bow, tiara, that is pretty good treasury. I'm almost saying 8. No, that feels like a 9 to me. That's really what you're really looking for a treasury. I love it.
I agree, and I love that we can agree to disagree. I say 8, you say 9. It's close enough. We'll split the middle, call it an 8.5 here in the booth. I would ask our lovely restreamer Oscar, who has rolled this fantastic vanilla seed, what their opinion is. But I think that she's still reeling in the fact that she had to roll a forced Rydia seed. But we still appreciate the Puff Queen for her hatred of the Rydia. And again, also huge shout out for Dubword for being very, very busy. This is a lot of things. And we're actually going to get a second look at this treasury. As we said, power shirt. So 2 power shirts, Artemis bow, dancing dagger, which is still really nice, silent staff. Yeah, this is exactly what you want out of a treasury.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking about it. Do we actually want to go to Zot? I mean, we have the Earth Crystal. There's 2 character checks, probably not as exciting. Although if there's Cecil, I don't think we have actually found we haven't found any sort of burr. So. Do you think it would be worth trekking up Zot at some point? Like, just if we it's probably going to be maybe last location, if anything, at this point. There's just nothing exciting. And the Assassin Dagger on a Pelham, probably not something you want if you want to keep your magic online.
So I would say go up Zot because you still have the ability to find other gated characters. Maybe find another gated Edge who you can just loot the gear off of. Maybe you find yourself a Fusoya up there, which I loathe to say those words because I got rid of mine last week because I think Fu is personally functionally boring in flags like this, but is a great bit of fun if you want that nice power overwhelming, and works great with these reflex strats you can get going on here. But I really think that the characters that are still out there and still the possibilities, the Zot check makes a great bit of sense. 2 characters, 1 key item. You're still early enough in the seed where a Fu could make a big difference. Or, again, say we find a Cecil, that means you just gravitate even more highly towards these trap chests. Trap chests, we could find ourselves an Excalibur or something like that. That's just the way I would personally feel.
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted. Probably would do it after doing everything on the lower end, but I mean, looks like sure at the Mega Sister spot, so not too healy, but the Q4 does what it does. So looks like double reflex strats. So just trying to make sure Azura always doesn't heal herself, which allows you to do as much damage as you want without worrying about the Cure 4 doing undoing all the work you had done. Looks like an interesting choice by Cubs to kind of do Evelyn. I mean, at this point, I think we're kind of confident that this is going to be a hook seed. So getting prepped by kind of looting, and this is probably a good time to get the XP from all the trap chests to, hope for a Bahamut or some decent weapon for Edge just to make things go more smoothly.
Absolutely, that's what you're really here for. You want some levels. You have a cursed ring, so EXP on your Iridia just really doesn't matter. So the more you can get on her means the more we're going to get for other people, which is kind of what we're looking for here. Again, the items we can pull out, we're kind of mostly looking for maybe a good yeetable sword, maybe a Masamune for our little boy Edge. Aside from that, there's really nothing you want to pull out for these higher tier mages. Like there's that Stardust Rod we have right now. That's kind of about it. We've already got one. Don't really need more.
Yeah, you probably could transfer it to Rydia if maybe just keep it on Palm. Doesn't matter. Still, the treasure, the loot is often pretty good, especially. And hey, automated Berserker. Put it on and forget about it. And oh, nice crystal ring, because it's always good for any dragon. But hey, that's a vanilla spot for a trap chest around not the vanilla monsters, but hey, it's close enough.
Indeed, I am here for the French vanilla trap chest, but you see, here we have Cubs Rule showing off why the White Spear is a fantastic weapon to find. You get a free cast of the White Spell, not a lot of damage, but 800 damage this early on, enough to kill a lot of the random mobs we find. So you're kind of chef's kissing here. We have a little bit of French vanilla of the Rosa here. She is in fact defending somebody, while we do see that we have an Odin in Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, Odin, the Dwarf Castle spot actually looks more appealing if you want to get a decent chance of a summon. Now, in the current randomizer, 5 random summons will be online. Character will probably not even consider in the seed, but hoping the Val spot is actually more interesting. Definitely do not need a dupe Rosa. 1 Rosa is enough, and you've collected Exit as a bonus.
Yeah, this is now where you're about what palette is going to be my favorite. And yes, I absolutely do believe in eating out the higher level ones for lower level ones of the palettes that you appreciate. Speaking of appreciation, these are some Dark Imps. You're going to appreciate how easy this fight is, and that's a fairly free Zot after everything we've gotten. We have some Mute Arrows, a Mute Dagger, and an Asura fight, and then we have the Dark Elves, the Dark Imps. Really, yeah, this is a check where even if it doesn't really get you anything, quick experience before heading down to that hook route, you can't really disagree with that.
I'm kind of surprised not using Toad. Stop is great, but the stop not as effective as the Hourglass. I mean, it is definitely a free boss battle, but certainly if you really want to neutralize them, make them Toads. Rydia is actually a great utility mage, and I consider Toad for non-boss but bosses is a really strong. Palom learns Toad much later than Rydia, so I mean, when you don't get some decent summons of Rydia, you try to use all the utility spells, and Toad with Stop and Warp are probably the only few spells you'll ever consider from an early Rydia that is still potentially useful when the time comes for her to shine.
Absolutely, and it's fantastic the fact that she has some uses versus the counterpart in Palom, where he does learn some of the attack spells way faster than her. He learns the tier 2s, but before you have to even go down to the underground, gets access to the Quake. But the really interesting thing is going to be, what is Beauty and Discovery going to get as a key item? Survey says Adamant Rock, not a key item that you're really hoping to see. That definitely means that that hook route is solidly looking to what we need. Music is the only way that could possibly have been a magma key. Cubs rules says, no thank you, I'm not down for this, and I'm okay with that.
Just to want to add the from warp warp is kind of disabled. So if so, the warp glitch is disabled. So basically, when you defeat the dwarf castle, you can once that event completes, and you warp back into the crystal room, avoiding the boss spot in sealed cave. But since demist is on the table, it makes the warp glitch less nice. But on the other hand, we found demist on Hobbs, so that's not a big deal. But it's one of those things where sometimes you can't. If the glitch was on, and you could probably try to steal, kind of peek at the item in the cave after the completion of a dwarf, could be nice. But then you'd miss the boss. And that can be tricky.
True, and to go back onto the point of why warp is actually a little bit more useful than you may think, there is the ability to warp out of areas that you cannot exit out of. Going back, oh, we have a star, we have a lovely star. Is this sparkle going to be something rude? Honestly, in this spot, this isn't. You're kind of not here for this. These they punch kind of quick. Oh, not as hard as I was expecting. I guess we have enough resistance. I was kind of hoping those hits would hit a little harder, but no, we got more than enough damage to take care of this.
Yeah, when Quake is online, you don't have to worry too much. You just sometimes it's effective just to delete one of them, with a berserker or whatever. But having undead or dragon resistance, I think we've seen some dragoon pieces of equipment. So Kane probably would have probably just sold it himself. So, but having said that, yeah, that's gonna be a fun battle. Rosa should have blinked by now, so that should mitigate some of the damage Evil Wall it's gonna pretty much do.
Can I interest you in an Evil Wall in This is, with an Avenger, this is way less scary. You're going to be jamming the queue a lot faster. Rosa, I think, is even drinking up a Bacchus wine. This is, oh yeah, we have Bacchus wines coming out wild and crazy. Quake going to be coming out. This, while normally could be a kind of scary fight, the power we have managed to accrue is just kind of looking at this fight going like, can I help you with something? You are definitely in the wrong place. Whereas Beauty and Discovery finding their lovely first chunk of vanilla, and going to be working towards getting their Darkness Crystal.
Probably might have been interesting to peek what was the Darkness Crystal. Like, there's a free character check. It could be the Cecil looking well. I remember seeing a Light Sword drop being picked up by Cubs Rule in Evelyn Castle. So that might be probably one of the only weapons available so far that Cecil could pick up, so that could be something. And then also peak whatever's at cave value, as that is required spot. So figure out how much you need to grind to take on that match, or maybe it's free. You never know.
Drew, what I'm really interested in is what is at the top of the tower that is going to be another free peak. There's a lot of information that can be garnered from, honestly, two quick checks. One being the hook route, the hook route down. The other one, as you mentioned, Cave Bahamut. Boss information is actually a lot bigger than you may think. Just the access to knowing, okay, this is here, I have to plan around this for a possibly later, especially in that Cave Bahamut.
Yeah, that's, I think that definitely this is when you drop down the Tower Babel, that the two bosses you find, basically the one that would have been in Tower of Zot and the actual Luge spot. Though that is kind of double the value, especially if you didn't do it quite yet. Oh, those are just learn blink. So that help out Cubs quite a bit. So yeah, that yeah, information, whether even if you fail, is still information, and you don't have, and that is still time gained if time saved. Either way you want to look at that.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps. A little bit of time lost could be, as you said, a little bit of time gained later on. But we do have Cubs as our first runner on stream, 32 minutes underground. I didn't quite see that. Was that in fact a Octomom that was chilling up there?
Yes.
That's not a great thing, but it's also not too bad. That spot is just a bag of HP. We've got some access to some Thunder Gear, so it's gonna be quick, but in the same token, you're gonna leave that until you find yourself the tower key.
I think it might be worth actually doing a keyless tower. I mean, yes, it's a bag of HP, but it's not. It's a pretty kind of tame bag of HP. I mean, that spot doesn't really punch that hard, so it's not as scary as it first appear. But surprisingly, the squid is wholly resistant. It's a holy squid, but not quite ultros. So you never. So it's one of those strange things in Final Fantasy IV. Weak resistances to things for reasons we don't know why. But it looks like Cubs is trying to peek the free key item and peek the bosses, which is required. So worth figuring out how much grinding that needs to be done for this seed.
Absolutely. Also, for a little bit of tidbit information there, Deathlike, part of the reason why some enemies have resistances and weaknesses to certain abilities is actually based on coding. So to make Cecil be more powerful in the early game, what they've actually done is they've taken some bosses and made them resist or immune or heal certain elements. For example, the D-Mist, it is immune to and absorbs Holy. And what it does is that gives it a darkness weakness. A lot of Cecil's weapons are darkness element, therefore meaning that he's going to do extra damage. Same thing with Octomammoth. It's the way that you can keep him kind of toe-to-toe with the two spellcasters who are casting spells that, for example, casting Lit. They're going to be doing way more damage than him. But you notice that he's still, if you get him that Shadow Blade, does just as much damage, if not more at some points, depending on your levels. So it's a little bit of they're weak to this, but they absorb this. It actually is the same thing as when you go to Rubicante. In his vanilla spot, there are points where he absorbs ice and where he's weak to ice. When his cloak is closed, he actually takes damage from fire, as opposed to when he absorbs it normally. Cloak open, he absorbs fire and takes bonus damage from ice. So that's the way they get it away there with coding.
It's true, but also different monsters actually independently have elemental resistances. So you can make him resist both holy and weak. I mean, holy and darkness elemental, but you can also make him weak to one or the other, or both. It's a little different on character equipment, where when you're weak to ice, you resist fire. When you're weak to fire, you resist ice. Those are properties of the ice and fire equipment, respectively. You could actually apply holy resistance on armor. It will actually generate, like, you resist holy, you're weak to darkness, and vice versa. So armor in this game is actually different than how those same bits are set on enemies. It's a very unique, and probably one of the reasons why there's no such thing as darkness or holy resist equipment in the original. It just probably was meant to be there, but wasn't meant to be, and monsters don't actually apply any elemental attacks. I think the only version of the game that does that is the DS version, which has actual meaning to them. So it was always in the engine.
Very true. Also, speaking of engine, Cubs is the little engine that could. Gets through the fight here. A very free fight. We have Artemis Arrows as a reward, but the true reward is we have our very first objective, 37 minutes on the screen. We have this lovely, overpowered Rosa who is going to be taking whatever fight we see here and just saying, I got some damage that's going to be happening. What's going to happen, I assume, here is going to be a heal, and I think Cubs... Oh, wow, Cubs not even taking the heals as I've got the power. We're going to take on this Dark Elf. Not really a scary spot. This boss doesn't punch. All it does is cast spells. Yeah, you're kind of here for this.
Dark Elf is like, I mean, you split between the two boss components. The Dark Elf itself, which the spells Leviathan spot not very strong compared to the Azure spot. So this is, and the punching is only the second phase in which you can kind of take advantage of Dark Elf's weakness to not having the boss bit. So that means stop, or the Hourglass becomes super useful. So Dark Elf at this spot not really a threat at all. So it makes sense to take just go ham. Why stop? I think the other spot is I think it was Baron or one of the type of cards. So that's also practically free.
Absolutely, and Kane with these holy weapons here going to be doing a chunk of damage. Rosa knocking out some, but the really important thing is we see at the bottom right we have the man, the myth, the legend of comedy himself, Ha Ha Hamas. We have Golbez down over here. He has taken down everybody except the literal twins. We need to get a reflect up real quick, and we're going to see some damage reflected back as Beating Discovery says, let's go and dive some of this moon. Escrunt probably hot on his heels.
The spell power for Golbez is actually for the spot not that high, although still the strength of the spells still not enough HP, so probably needed to kind of try to take advantage of status priority. You know, try to use Venom, so the paralysis doesn't take hold. When you're poisoned, a lot of ailments like paralysis, and then basically it's kind of like a priority table, but you can't apply paralysis on them, and that might have helped, but I mean, because there's two Palams, you had a chance. So that could be something. But hey, vanilla.
You know what? That is, I think, our third scoop of vanilla. We have ourselves a Fusoya. You love to see it here. He's going to give you the power, beauty, and discovery. No, my poor Rosa. No, I kind of agree with this here. You're not really looking for much of a healer for later on. I 100% see reflex strats happening for Zeromas. So it's going to be a good call getting through there. Cubs decides he's got his second objective. He's going to skedaddle. And we also have looks like a tower key in tow.
Yeah, so getting back to one of the
No, Luca, my bad.
Yep. Getting back to some of the weaknesses, I think in chat for Ruby, the thing about Ruby is that due to bugs, Ruby is actually weak to ice in both phases. But only in terms of when he's cloaked, you can still smack him with like an ice brand or a blizzard spear, and it does the same amount of damage. So even though in terms of the script, yeah, you can. It says remove the ice bit weakness, but no, it's still there, and full Ruby is still weak to ice when it comes to weapons. So you're doing the same amount of damage whether or not the cloak is there, except for the initial phase, where the initial phase is where the fire element, the absorbed fire bit is still there, and that gets removed and never to return.
Indeed, and again, the game finally coded, fantastic as it is. Let's not talk any further about that. But what we do see here is Cubs Roll continuing on some shopping percent. You're gonna see what sort of goodies there are. There's some sorcerer robes. There's a ninja hat. Gotta give these Palams a little bit more help in the resist and in the power variety here as well. There's Rydia getting some other items. We're gonna keep her powered up and keep her going. Meanwhile, we have Beating Discovery going and saying, you know what, we'll deal with this Golbez up to some XP, but that's not the XP we're gonna get it from. We'll get it somewhere else. That is a CPU. That is not a fight you want to take at the current moment. Maybe later, if we have to. But, yeah, no thank you. Come back later, whereas Cubs Rule says we're going to stick here on the blue planet for now.
I'm actually excited for the LSD dive. I mean, there's kind of no guarantee that all of the key items we need to unlock the rest of the seed are on the underground or anywhere on the overworld. There's got to be at least one key item on the moon, and you might as well get your grind done up here at the same time. So it makes a lot of sense to actually do it. I mean, there's how many key items we still need? I think we need at least the Baron key and the pan. So those are two items that I don't, at least up to this point, we haven't. There's probably a chance one of them will be on the moon.
Yeah, the moon has a high quality or quantity of items that are available, unless we have exactly items that are coming in here from the underground, or from this harp check that again still has not been picked up by Cubs Rule. It's a very tough call. Like, the moon is a smart call because you can kind of brute force through a lot of it and get some experience to make you happy. You can also kind of understand doing this underground here. I agree with Cubs. If this is absolutely nothing, you wasted a couple of minutes. Axe and Dragoon Spear. Yeah, kind of want to keep that, but we see him humming and hawing saying, we're just going to reset out of that. So that means Luka Key, dead key item. We know it's not going to be worthwhile with boss hunts, you don't even want to see who it is. That it means we're going back to Dwarf, it looks like.
Yeah, this is interesting. Cubs is really trying to follow the underground a lot. And still following up. I think that's the other guards. I don't remember which one is which.
That would be the Baron guards, because we have the Kaipo guards already in Baymarch.
Yeah, so that shouldn't be too bad. Although they'll be fairly punchy. So I think Quake will probably take care of that. Free character check on top of that. So that's not probably not looking to swap out characters unless maybe there's another Fu. There's that. I mean, replacing Rosa was an interesting call. Maybe I would have replaced another Palom, but those. If you want to go all offense, you have three black mages. I'm all for that too. Because those there's only so much room for mages that So yeah, I can see that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and as we also see room for mages, that is a DKC at the Crystal Sword altar. If you're not ready for him, he is not friendly whatsoever. You get Rydia that curse ring on, it becomes a lot easier of a fight, but in the same token, that's a free experience. Maybe we're going to save that for a little bit later. Beating Discovery saying, I'll take that fight another time. Whereas Cubs Rule, getting himself a Sid, says, yep, no thank you. Rydia growing up, learning some spells, and we're going to take care of an Odin real quick with a Virus, with a Quake, with maybe even a Lit spell, but Kane's is kind of like, I go first.
He angry. It's faster than lightning, as they say. Oh, and hey, Wyvern. Hey, everyone's a pig. That's today's Witchburn. That's a reset. That's an interesting reset.
That is fantastic. That's actually a time when you cast Piggy before going in there, and just let him piggyback out. That's an entertaining Witchburn.
And looks like
Bomb.
Yeah, those are
the second highest HP spot.
Yeah, because I mean, there's 2 D Lunars in that spot, so the combined HP makes the singular boss pretty buff. Yeah, so I guess not time for that. Look, though, maybe take on Mom later. I guess the Ogre spot probably looks more appealing, right? Let's see.
Finishing up Dwarf Castle gets the package. That could possibly be our Cecil. Could be yet another character that we would enjoy. And yeah, no, you take this Ogre spot and you enjoy your free experience.
certainly. This like the top King Queen Evelyn, the freest of all bosses. Probably arguably even more free than Water Hag. I mean, when bosses are no free bosses, then these are still the easiest bosses. They just have to take out their HP.
So speaking of no free bosses, there's also no free giants here. Grunt deciding I want some bonus experience or I just want to keep running around, and says, yeah, give me this giant, and is just gonna plow through it. Maybe gonna do some grinding here. I don't disagree with this. This is gonna be, again, a nice slingshot for some characters, a bunch of XP on everyone, really. Yeah, it's a play. I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna ask him about this in post. Really, that's more what I'm here for.
I think it makes sense when your hero is ready and you have a bunch of mages. Then doing the grind here looks very appealing, and you're hoping for a free boss. And there's a sparkly plague. Yeah, plague. So that's practically free I mean, just go full. It's punchy. So that might not be enough dragoon resistant equipment to go dragon equipment.
No, definitely not.
Was this? Hopefully, that wasn't too much of a loss of time. No, I think the grind was necessary. The grind probably may be necessary if no other choices are available, though.
I think with the free King Queen Evelyn here, you can kind of forego a bit of a grind. If you're going for exactly key item check only, you can have this Fu kind of survive. You reorganize your party where Fu goes first, have him cast Cure 4 on himself. That way he is going to have enough HP to survive 2 dark waves, and you get your key item and you kind of dip if it's something good, or reset if it's not worth it. Aside from that, chunk of XP, food, looting some new stuff. That's just a spoon. It's a key item for key item checks. That's really about it. Whereas Escrunt is checking to see what he's got here. So this is something we don't often see, and I'm okay with this. This is where you look to see what Rose's mom, what she does is she tells you, hey, this is where all the key item checks that you can find and where they are. Oh, so there's Baron Key that can do this. There's this. You can go find D-Mist. I think Escrunt has not actually fought D-Mist yet, and I think that's what he's going for right now. Oh, yeah. He's going to stay on the moon. Whereas Cubs took the fight of Octomom. I didn't even see what he got there from top tower.
Top tower was Octomam. That was so.
The key item.
Oh, the key item. No. Oh, it looks like tower key.
We have more vanilla, as a matter of fact. Oh my lord! More vanilla, and the full leg is here. I'm 100% for this seed. This again, I am just around, folks. Apparently, my energy is just all about vanilla, no matter what's going on. But yeah, enjoy some more vanilla, and watch as full leg gets booted off the ledge.
Yep. Spot's pretty free. Lowest HP spot of a lot. I mean, it's not the lowest of the lowest, but it's of spots that are usually pretty tough. This should be tough. This is not one of them. Will still punch, but so very fragile. So yeah. Hi Rubicon. Bye Rubicon.
And Beauty and Discovery actually doing something similar to what I was saying. Kane gets off a Cure 3 on Fu. Fu cuts the Cure 3 on himself. And yeah, that is how you see that justice is not the only right in this world. And Beauty, Made in Quebec finally at the 50-minute mark decides, hey, the moon's fun and all, but let's go underground.
Yeah, it's up at some point. Let's see what the key item at the wyvern spot. Wait, how much womp have we found in the moon? I think there's still the CPU. Yeah, I think the CPU, while free for at the Pale Dim spot, is still one of those time grinding spots and not ideal. I mean, we can like we have a Fu. We could probably with this mage party, you can try like reflecting float strats and hope, and then it allows Quake kids to do the work in quaking. I'm not sure if Fu has learned Quake yet. Doesn't really matter if as long as Fu or Rosa has learned float, then that would make that strat interesting. Although I think there's some tests that it's not perfectly 50-50 chance. I think it actually favors the float. Try to save the CPU, which is unfortunate.
50% of the time, it works every time. And speaking of working every time, I want to get a big shout out to those who've been working behind the scenes. We have FF4FE that has rolled this absolute masterpiece of a troll seed here. And then we have our good friend Dubbird, who has been doing the tracking, keeping us honest, and keeping the items going on here. Huge shout out to them. Give them follow, likes, loves, all that shenanigans, because they are fantastic. And speaking of people that are fantastic, we also have Cubs Rule, Grunt, Main Quebec, and Beauty and Discovery here, who are your runners. Give them follows, likes, loves, all that sort of goodness. They're putting on the show for you here. They want to show the loveliness that is this fantastic seed. And yeah, they're putting on a heck of a show. Beauty and Discovery is making use of that pigginess right there. I'm here for a piggy squad. And again, also give a big shout out to my co-commentator here, Deathlike, doing a great job in keeping me honest and keeping me on some information here.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and thank everyone who's involved in the restream and the restreamers and Escort finally filing Demist. It's interesting. You start not looking for boss. The Mount Hobbs check for the character looks less appealing when you have free characters available. So it's actually understandable that you don't want to do the Mount Hobbs check when you have like free checks like say Mysidia, that's with 2 free characters. So now Escort picking up the hook. So yeah, that will obviously drive the decision to probably go through the hook route, since I think that's what's left.
Look, we have Cubs Rule, who's found himself both the Earth Crystal, and we have access to the Legend Sword, so we know where all of Forges, so that's a fun little bonus. Also, Escront's like, finally gets himself his hook and is going to go turn in this rat tail, which is going to get him the Twin Harp, which I'm 100% here for. Also, for those of you who can see it in chat, we have our lovely restreamer Oscar, who's basically saying, "Check the harp!" So I'm 100% here for that. When in fact Cubs is doing it. This is the routing that we love to see. We love to see harp into Zot, into hopefully Baron. But as we know, we do have a bit of a zonk here in Tower of Zot. But the music, this is the real prize.
Certainly. I'm not. It's hard to do say solo Earth check without having the harp at the same time. So it's easier to route, harp into Earth, and then maybe into Baron if the Baron key showed up in some manner, shape, or form. So sometimes it's hard, like some harp or Earth Crystal is kind of like a one-off check unless you have the other key item that makes that routing much more concise. And I see a burr in the solo ogre chest in the upper Babel. We still have yet to see a paladin though.
We do have ourselves access to that package. Cubs could in fact find himself a paladin, could be hiding in the bed, or we could in fact find him somewhere else entirely. But as that is happening, we have the loveliness that is Dark Elf, who has put us under a spell. Oh no, whatever are we going to do? We need a friend and help to get us away from all this danger that we're trying to knock ourselves down for.
Yeah, I think
not quite strong enough.
It's trying to self-obliterate and not strong enough. It's happened before. You might as well just get through the sequence. But at least the game will do it for you. So it's not the worst thing. Still, it's a little slower for sure.
Speaking of doing it for us, we do have these spells coming out, and Dark Elf is gonna put us down. And while he's gonna put us down, we're gonna put down the mics, and we are going to HP ran out. You don't often see that. But while that's happening, we're going to be quiet while we have the lovely Harper edition of DJ Spoony B's Rockin' Tunes. And thankfully, Dr. Dialogue does not ruin it, and that is Treasure Hunter. Don't you dare confuse him with a thief. That is Locke's theme from Final Fantasy VI, as shown off by Cubs Rule. Fantastic little bit of music from yet another wonderful Final Fantasy. Just a zonk, only a defense sword. Yeah, the real prize, the music we got to enjoy along the way.
Yeah, it's not what you're looking for. Although the save was done here, so yeah. Cubs hasn't done Zot yet. So while writing works out, the slow go of getting out of Cave Magnus, not the treat. A little unfortunate. Probably could have saved outside and just kind of walked it out instead. But it is what it is. Time. Beauty's having some trouble with this kind of. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing. Probably not missing. Oh, it's for the paralysis. Probably should be using size on the spellcasters instead of Piggy instead.
It's a back and forth kind of a choice kind of thing. Piggy is not a bad choice. Size is, again, as you said, better for the spellcasters. But yeah, it's the one quote problem of trying to do the god routing. If you get absolutely nothing from that Cave Magna spot, but you save inside, you're not gonna get anything but a walkout aside from having Rosa done and getting exit. The nice thing though, you do have Warford Meridian, so you do have that way out. Maiden Quebec though gets through the second fight, Evil Wall knocked down, and gonna get underground access in just a little over an hour. Whereas Beauty and Discovery gonna take yet another shot at Dr. Dialogue, or not Dr. Dialogue, at this Golbez laughing, and a fight that honestly should be quote easy, but is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, there are just some spots. Golbez can ruin your day, and even on an easier spot, you're still gonna essentially kind of consume a finite amount of time for all for the jokes and for paralysis and jokes. That's so yeah. There's it's kind of one of those can't underestimate Golbez at certain spots, particularly if the spot has high magic of Golbez. So and that would make his spells much more lethal. So it depends a lot on the spot. If it's a punchy spot, then Golbez is probably a relief in a way. So,
I mean, yeah, you're kind of okay with him here by comparison to some of the other locations he seems to be in. But the thing is again, this is a fight where if you're not 100% prepared for him, or if, again, you lose some of the 50-50s like it seemed like Union Discovery was doing, it's just less of a fun time. What we see here, yeah, some of the hits back and forth. These spells are hitting for a decent amount, but he's going to need a little bit of help to get through this, because it's not going to be enough for a single round through of that Star Veil.
Yeah, not doing when Golbez does not do enough damage, then yeah, you have to definitely help him along. I think the a stronger strat sometimes is the poison strat, because it's usually accessible by Palom early on. So and definitely, and also Rydia. Both Palom and Rydia learn Venom pretty early, and one of the cool kind of the neat things about poison. Well, not really. It's even if you have the resistance, like Ribbon protects against it, Adamant protects against it, Adamant armor protects against it. The thing of it is that because of the wonderful coding that is done in this game, poison doesn't actually get resisted. So although it doesn't really matter for Adamant armor because the follow up is instant death, but when you have a Ribbon, not even if it's a Ribbon, but even if you had either of them, the poison will still go through, and you can still avoid the rest of the tomfoolery that Golbez does during that sequence. So poison is probably the most accessible if you have a black mage.
It is really interesting seeing the different levels that are the hierarchy of the status effects, what blocks what doesn't block which. Made in Quebec, though, seeing a different level of hierarchy, seeing what we have as the king and queen spots here in the Town of Summon Monsters. Again, fights that are one fight that is deceptively hard, but is actually very easy, and another fight that is just as easy as it looks here. In fact, taking on the fight that is going to be the nice, easy fight. Beating Discovery, getting through some more of this damage, and going to just keep swinging here in with these virus casts. The thing is, Golbez can never kill himself with the counter damage. You have to at least hit him for that final hit. Can put himself at 1 HP, keep doing damage all he wants, and then we see this, as I mentioned here. Gets through the damage, gets through the fight. If this Golbez is going to be not only just your objective number 4, the first person on stream getting it done. Additionally, S-Grunt, 1 hour 4 minutes, Underground, yet another Dragoon Spear. I mean, I said we couldn't gear out these canes. This seed is very much one to prove me wrong. Asuka, like, I love me some canes, but I mean, you don't have to let me equip every single one of them. I promise. I'm here for it, though.
No, you need 5 betrayers. You just need 5 of them. That's how the seed's supposed to run. 5. But yeah, I usually have very low expectation getting lots of cane equipment. This seed, like the randomizer proves me wrong. Since it's a randomizer, it can always happen anytime.
Indeed, that's the bonus of all the loot that we see and the way the key item locations are going to drop. The last ones drop T7, T8 pieces of gear, so they are 100% randomized as it is. But again, you talk about 5 betrayers. You don't look. He's not a betrayer. He just wanted to protect everyone from having the darkness crystal. That's all that matters, and he just wants to make sure that everyone is fine. He had his friend's best interest at heart.
I think I just saw a pass in the save point, the treasure chest. Both one of the treasure, I think it was the left one. That was a free pass. That is I'm not sure how many people have picked that up, but seeing Quebec pick that up, that is certainly an advantage. Pass is usually one of those key item setups, but I think it's part of the overall loot. So there's something to be said when the pass isn't the common key item spot. No, it's anywhere in any treasure chest, which makes you want to loot more, even though we kind of train as a speedrunner to kind of stop looting, or
But Wait, stop looting. Who told you? Who told you such lies and slander? That's not how this works at all. You loot until... I mean, yeah, no, that's exactly what this is. Loot is good for so long, and then you have to start learning, oh, what is this treasure chest going to get me versus what is the potential of what it could, like, get away from me kind of thing. It's a very hard place to balance, and it's something that a lot of people learn. Some learn it very early on. Some people, like myself, will absolutely never earn it. Yeah, it's gonna be something that is just... Look, no, chat, I will not control my loot goblin. I will not. It's here. You're gonna have to deal with it. Speaking of dealing with it, Beauty and Discovery has decided that they're going to deal with not having enough levels, going to crack open a Siren, or is taking a free fight, and is going to be making very good use of this Fu and Palom. Going to stop, going to weak, and going to get, I assume, some life glitches going on here. Whereas Cubs gets himself his Darkness Crystal. Finally, he's an hour and 7 minutes into the seed and decided, finally I'll go and do ordeals.
Yeah, sometimes when you know the flags suggest no, don't expect Teller or Cecil, and we still haven't found either of them yet in the seed. I mean, chances are either one of them is behind Giant, and I don't think we've seen Package yet either. So those two characters might just be in that spot. Of course, looking for Cecil and having the flaming bird, although it's really cold hard steel. It's like you want to fight the urge to keep holding on to it, because at some point it's kind of too late, especially when you have a full mage party, and Burr Cecil not as useful at that point.
Look, there is never a time where Cecil is not useful for any one of his levels of damage. Even if you find him late in the seed, if you've got a single boss left to fight, honestly, at 1200 HP, Cecil can do as much damage as most things. Unless you are looking for specifically reflex strats, then I do agree he kind of falls down in value. But aside from that, he is useful throughout the entirety of this seed.
If we find him, and I don't, that might be, it's one of those, at least from a viewer's perspective, we kind of have a pretty good idea, at least who we have found versus and what we have left. So we've yet to find either of them. I think we found a Yang, we found a Sid. Like, there are just not that many spots left, and at this point, probably disappointed that we might not. There's just times that seeds don't provide the character at the time you want it. It's just, and then at the same point, we say, like, yeet the spoon, we yeet an Edward, but then a spoon comes around, and that's kind of that's randomizer for you.
Indeed, rando's gonna rando, and it is 100% what you're talking about here. Cubs Rule has decided he's also looking at these reflect strats and said, you know what, I have my Darkness Crystal. We're gonna be going and saying 100% bang, zoom, straight to the moon. It's kind of the way to go. This is where he's gonna also pick up his food, whereas main Quebec is finally treading some familiar ground in this dwarf check, and yeah.
So a few more. I think we're doing another attempt on the goalless spot. This is, these are. Oh no, it's Wyvern. Well, that should be. Surprise should be solvable. Although that nuke is gonna fail. I think probably having done maybe a few various other things forgot. And we're trying to piggy our way out of that, which unfortunately piggy is the spell not very accurate. So, which is why we have the change rod, and I think we picked one of those. Probably seen at least one picked up from the treasury, which guarantees it works. So that's there's a few small tricks, and the nuke has begun.
Yeah, that's the really fun part about Whisper. Once you get a little bit of levels, it can have the decent chance of missing. It's what you don't want to see. It's the less beneficial thing when you think, oh, I'll just piggy element characters and they'll transform back, right? Sorry, I dodged. I'm sorry. Can you try that again? I didn't hear you. The bit of the problem here, a little unfortunate, but it's a fight you can get through eventually. Speaking of getting through eventually, Cub's about to go and find the loveliness that is Golbez in Cave Bahamut, whereas Escrunt getting some XP and seeing look at just how hard these guys hit. That is them just knocking themselves out too. 2 hits and a counter a smack. Whisper goes through and there's everybody, and yeah, here's the counter piggy to get everyone away from the pig.
Yeah, that, there's what it's one of times one of those seeds where you kind of want considering if you had like say a silk web or something. Like, I'm not sure if that was available in a shop, but a silk web for certain boss battles, especially including Wyvern, just to make life easy. And it's just sometimes even though you probably maybe correctly anchored, I think you got like starting curse ring to help out with the agility, but still you still want the boss to slow down a little bit. You don't when the boss kind of speeds out of control. That they can lots of bad things happen when you let the bosses do their thing. So it's sometimes interesting what kind of attempts are being done to try to get ahead there.
Absolutely. There's so much that it comes to different ways going back and forth. Are you going to, work on your agility a little bit down? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? There's so much that can change a seed or change a fight based upon how you gear up, how you set up your party area, which one's your agility anchor. Well, unfortunately, we have just the Rydia, who's going to be our agility anchor, but how you set her up specifically is a big thing here. Speaking of, we do have Cubs getting these spells reflected off in the right spot. Lovely, lovely Rydia is reflecting off these spells, while Rosa is going on a murder spree and getting that Bacchus wine going on. That Bacchus wine plus that wall means that's never going down. She's going to go down swinging.
Oh, that's a fortune treasure from Cubs roll. That's when you rarely look for that. That 33% chance that'll happen. Well, it happened, and that's first time works every time. So yeah, that's also a good thing about Bacchus wine is it ignores reflect. So allows reflected characters to go berserk without having to worry about things. There's a few JDMs, few spells that kind of need to know when they do and don't reflect, and this is kind of one of it.
Absolutely, and we see the Berserks coming out, we see the Avenger going on, we see Sylph coming on. That is a nice little bit of healing that you're going to be happy to see. This is honestly a cheekier fight than it was. If he gets everybody with some experience, it's going to be very, very nice. Not something you really see in usually Golbez fights in this later area when you're not when you're doing this level of damage. Then Golbez himself, honestly, not going to hurt very hard elsewhere. Escrunt, though, tying Cub's rule, 2 objectives done apiece. Maiden Quebec gets that one, decides, I'm going to go check Twin Harp, see what's going to happen. Going to be finding that Dragoon Spear. Might keep it based on their party, though.
You definitely want to keep the Dragoon Spear. We know Wyvern's on the moon, and Wyvern is one of the few boss dragons worth using it on. So yeah, that's especially this is required. You might as well keep it. There's no reason to eat it or anything. And I would argue a lot more consistent than say the White Spear, only because you fight. There's just a lot of dragon bosses, so having a Dragoon Spear. The damage difference not that much different, but you want that dragon. You want to hurt dragons really hard, and that's a weapon I prefer to keep.
Absolutely. You do like yourself some dragon killing weapons, especially when Wyvern's still kicking around the seed somewhere. If anything else, you can just yeet it with edge, and that's a good amount of damage, and Kane can keep holding onto that white spear and be just fine. Especially since we've seen the only bosses that really resist holy, so you're kind of good to go. Cubs has gotten through, gets that fourth objective lit up, third objective overall. We have the Baron Castle basement, and we have the pan still out there in the wild. A few items we have here, and we do apologize for talking over the music, is Dr. Dialogue. We have the lovely reminiscent of Final Fantasy VI's lock theme, again going on with Made in Quebec here in Cape Magnus.
Yes, there's just so much going on. There's probably a good chance that someone else will try to peek that spot and trying to look for the key item that they need. The Baron key is the one we're still looking for to become a no mode, and there's a pretty good chance at this point it might be literally at that Wyvern spot. I think, or the CPU spot. You're one of, and we'll find out if Cubs wants to take on that CPU.
No worries. And as we mentioned, we get just a defense sword that's here. We get the CPU spot. I 100% understand. Yeah, but we're just gonna have Cubs berserk things through here. Feeding Discovery again. Fantastic fight. Gets through that with absolutely with a couple of casualties, a lot of experience. And yeah, now Puso is just going to say, hi, let me introduce you to my friend. It is called Nuke. It is 50 MP, and I can cast it about 3 times before, and then Palm's like, I can do it, and no, gets knocked down. The benefits of this place here, this is a very punchy spot. It is very fast. It hits very hard. If you're not ready for it, you need to get those blinks up fast and furiously.
This is the trade-off of taking out Rosa. Porum was excluded because you already had most. I'm pretty sure everyone found the Rosa before finding Porum. But getting rid of the extra white mage kind of prevents double blink strats if you have to survive really punchy bosses, and this is one of them. Like having more Palums, you'll end up having Palom at Quake most of the time, unless you've done the grind to Nuke for both Palom and Rydia. So at this point, it's kind of the choice to pick to
that may
Rydia.
have been the best Globe 199 target that you could have possibly had. So the nice thing is there, with Rydia being our hero, she gets experience whether she's alive or dead, and that CPU is hard required. That is our pan. That's what you kind of do and don't want to see. As we see off the power berserkers, this Rosa doing a lot of work. Yeah, Cubs is saying, I'm taking this pan, thank you very much, and I'm out of here. I 100% expect, I'm going to be kind of happy to see if this is a pan into the loveliness that is a Baron key. Because if that is required CPU, this is going to take a little bit.
Yeah, it would have to be at the Sheila 2 spot. I don't even remember what the Sheila 1. Probably nothing worth talking about. So it won't be at the pan turn-in spot. So
what is worth talking about is we do have yet another reminiscent of this music of Locke's theme. We're going to be quiet and let it go through. And again, as I mentioned, the loveliness that is locked. We get just a defense sword here. Again, great weapon for our boy Kane, but not much else. Whereas we have Beauty and Discovery throwing Mom Bomb in the microwave, where Cubs rule. Gonna see what the stage 1 of this pan is going to be giving out to us.
Unfortunately, stage 1 will not have the key item, as the key summon is not on. So yes, you have to turn in the pan, but this won't give you the key item because
Could have a good weapon here.
Well, you gotta be hoping. Well, another Artemis bow. I think we're collecting all the Artemis bows in this seed. This is Artemis. This is Artemis seeds percentage, right? I think so. Well, hopefully Sheila 2 will likely turn up with the Baron Key, but not guaranteed. It's still not clear yet, though.
The nice thing is if we really want to, we can toss it on pretty much. That's a pink tail, and I did see what that second key item was. I do see an exit being cast by Beauty and Discovery, so I think it may have been a bit of good news. I'm really curious what if that is actually the Baron Key hiding in there. That is very nice to be finding behind that Mom Bomb, which by the Dubward, our lovely tracker, keeping me honest, that is not a Baron Key. That's a white shirt, but again, pigtail. Can't say no to that. You love the T7, T8 items.
Oh, there it is. Ooh. Behind Sheila 2. Of course, Sheila is holding the goods, the seed, and now Cubs will pretty much in go mode. That's definitely there's it shouldn't be too long before this seed goes, but I think we're trying to correct Reddy's agility because having her cursed when you have a lot of speedier characters around, not so helpful. Well, she is the anchor, but you'd rather her agility be normal for the at least the initial Baigen fight. Probably put out back on the curse ring for the Odin spot fight.
Absolutely, you let her have as much agility as possible. Maybe even throw on an Artemis bow onto her just for kicks. But yeah, this CPU fight honestly puts Cubs way out in front. I'm very curious to see if anybody else decided they want to take that quick and follow that chain, because that means 2 single spots on the moon. And yeah, the goods coming from Sheila, and we know that Sheila has the goods because that's how we have Ursula in the after years.
Ursula better than Yang.
Ooh, that's a hot take. We can talk about that another time.
Sure. This probably have thinking about this. We'll try to backtrack all the way out. Given that don't think Cubs found the pass, so let's try maybe Cubs gambling for a pass at the Kanazo spot. Probably we'll just walk that out. And kind of the worst thing about it is you can't like exit or warp the way out. You just kind of have to walk hard walk all the way out. And sometimes it feels weird. You don't do it often enough, and it's something. But safety save probably not necessary. But there have been times where people forget to save before doing things, and it kind of has done a loss of time for sure.
Indeed, and speaking of loss of time, there is our very first place finisher happening off stream. We had 15 racers here tonight, including the 4 that we have on stream. At 1 hour, 26 minutes, 15 seconds, we have PK4787, the Godslayer himself, who has come in first place. GG's to him, and oh look, hey Plague, nice quick fight.
Should be a quick. Now you see him, now you don't. Rosa should have no trouble doing it. Probably one shot. Oh, no, Kane might say something else, but yeah, should be quick. There it goes. Yeah. Probably be a decent walk down, and we know at least one of the past locations is in the save in the one of the treasure chests in the save area in the Fey March. So that's although this is interesting to do this. I guess maybe as a safety exit just in case. Probably though with the power.
Yo
probably,
ho ho.
yeah, and a bottle of rum. Yeah, doll's not a problem. I could have probably flamed them, but okay, just let Angry Cane do work. That's fine. Or get to food quick, everything.
Yeah, with the way Kane even going as fast as he is, I still say going to Fu, getting this Quake off, not a bad idea. Makes it, again, pretty quick of a fight, especially Kane when he wants to behave and he's hitting one of each, two dolls down. Here goes the rest of them, and that Quake makes that is about 4 times what the spot of this HP spot is over. Exactly what you love to see here. As you said, yeah, pass is in the chests. As you said, we found it in the Fey March. Hey, look, our Cecil, he is just preparing himself for the throne. And yeah, Cub says, nope, we got our team. This is enough. We're good. I think he's found the squad that's going to be taking on Zeromas.
This is this kind of seed where you know the meme sell the crystal sword to assert dominance on the seed. Well, this would have been perfect. I think when I forget who. I think the forge item was the mist whip, which is great for Rydia, but it's just a stat stick. But the crystal rings were being sold. I was thinking for a moment, crystal sword for crystal rings. That would have been my deal.
Oh, absolutely a great trade. And again, we do have the restrainer being Oscar, who is in fact a wonderful person who decides get rid of Crystal Sword Cecil, assert dominance by selling said swords, and eating Rydia. Unfortunately, we only get to do one thing here. This version of the flag set's absolutely showing off lovely bits of memes, lovely bits of pandering towards everybody, and yeah, we're 100% here for this, absolutely. The important thing is what is going to be in this boss fight here. Cubs looking at his character's gear says, maybe I need to change things. Says, no, this is good enough here. I don't think there's anything scary left, and as we even see, just Leviathan here, and I say just, the magic stat here, gonna hurt a bit, but aside from that, kind of a fight. You just look and go, okay, get that wave going, and yeah. And as answer the Restreamer's question, is this technically French vanilla? I call this French vanilla with a little shot of caramel because it's technically a summon boss location, but it's on the overworld, so that's what the little caramel bit's for.
That's interesting description. Not sure I've ever seen that in ice cream, but from coffee, then okay, I'm all for that. But ice 2, not so threatening. Usually, the spell power is okay here. I mean, it's designed for Odin's and Zutkin. I can't say it quite right.
Zanted Zukins.
And but that's just you can just overpower it. Probably show it nuke. And everything. It'll solve everything. And hey,
look, another Avenger.
Who said we couldn't have 2 Angry Canes in this seed?
And that is objective number 5. Cubs rule 5 for 5, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 49 seconds, gets himself the crystal, and we are going to have a run towards that Troya Pass door real quick.
Yeah, definitely with the cursed ring. It's still probably that should negate the spell power loss. So Ryder will be doing something, though there's no nuke, and probably try to maybe reflect a level 3 spell at best or fires. Ryder probably just ultimately take a nap in the fight.
Absolutely, this is a team that just screams, I've got berserkers. The only reason why I think he kept Kane is because of the multipliers and the attacks at this point. There is honestly, and again, I love my boy, I love me some Crystal Sword Cecil, but unless he was going to take yet another boss, which, I mean, again, we've seen the first place finish. If you're racing for second place, then yeah, you kind of take the run and you kind of go. But if you don't care, like, I get a couple levels of that Cecil, have him go burr, and then you're kind of good there. Nah, I agree with this. You kind of look at your team and go, you know what, let's just finish out this seed. We got a little bit of style, and I'm here for it. In the meantime, we have Esgrant, who is taking on the full leg. Beauty and Discovery, who gets their own pan, and he's going to look like immediately cash that in, and going to be following up with yet 2 more objectives. And speaking of following up, we are having our first place finisher followed up by second place, Lord Bob Ree. Second place, 1 hour, 32 minutes, 25 seconds. GG's out to him.
Yeah, GG's. Just a thought to make like sometimes there are certain fights where you do not want the Avenger's sword equipped initially. So there's always a reminder that just there's and Zeromus is definitely one of them. But hey, I see these Z flags. Yes, it is like about less than half an hour before midnight Eastern Standard, and I guess I'm feeling sleepy, but I don't think that's what they're for.
You know what? As much as I would love to have ourselves a nice little sleepy stream comms here going on, that's not what these Z flags are for. Additionally, to the music that we have as the randomized music from Edward, we have yet another level of randomization from the bosses. Zeromus stays in his lovely spot because Big Bang is still Big Bang no matter where you fight it. The thing we do randomize instead of his location is what he looks like. You throw this crystal, and out of one of every 500 and change icons done by the fantastic sprite wizard that is Scholar Kitty, as well as a few done by Boardface and some others, we have the wonderfulness that could be Zeromus. He could be anything. He could even be a box. You know how much we want one of those. The real question is, whose butt are we kicking tonight? And is it cute?
Does it have a hat?
I love hats.
Yeah, the various questions that go with this. Hey, it's forget suddenly Mega Man completion seed. Don't know which one. I don't remember which one, but it's one of the NES ones, and it's definitely cute.
Now, you've heard me tell the story many times before you sleep. Now, this time, listen carefully. Now, that's a little bit of the Proto Man, who is based off of Proto Man, who is from one of the loveliness that is the Mega Man series, who is the brother of Mega Man. Fantastic little sprite. Love seeing when you have shenanigans like this. It is, again, and you always hear that. I hope that came through my mic properly. But we do have S-Grunt. While we have this fight going on with Proto Man, we have eggs being cracked, we have Last Arm being fought, and we have yet another CPU going.
It looks like Cubs is essentially trying to yeet Rydia during the fight because her turns will just be wasted, and oh no, we're going to flex stats. Never mind. I was about to say like sometimes kind of kill off a character so they don't just take turns away. Though the Berserkers will do their turns when their ATB fills automatically. So it's having Berserkers doing their thing without that much additional effort is really nice.
Absolutely. Speaking of Berserkers, Beauty and Discovery finds something that would have been great for yet another Berserker of that Cecil. There is a additional level of Excal kicking around in this seed. We have Holy Swords for days. And speaking of 4 days, we have the lovely Ice Storm that is Flurry 14, the Chili Man himself. Actually, that is Chill Man himself at 5th place, 1 hour, 35 minutes, 52 seconds. GG's to him. Rybon finishing at 1 hour, 34 minutes, 55 seconds. Solaris finishing in 3rd place, 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 40 seconds. And just right after, as I'm announcing all these Microcorgs in 6th place, 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 17 seconds. GG's to our 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place finishers, whereas Cub Rules is looking for 1st place finisher on stream and maybe 7th place finisher. Who knows who else is in the Z fight right now?
Yeah, they're starting to pour in. I was reading the seed flags for the moment. I thought the no free was no free bosses. No, it's no free key item. There's a difference for what no free actually means. That's all. The hybrid strats probably makes the most sense given Cubs Rules Party. When some of the other racers are going at it, will be different. gives in the party position. You know, the hybrid strats are, I mean, kind of interesting, pretty balanced, and you always want to, if you want to get some free damage in reflect, always a contribution. You'll still fight the full HP because you're not doing full reflect. So, but once in a while, if you time it right, like you could occasionally kill a boss, kill Z without triggering the refill. But you know, those are far and few in between, though.
Yeah, that takes a lot of counting, and when you have more than one Zerker going, you either need a Unicorn going, or a way to stop them, and that is a lot harder than you may think. Or you could also just get very lucky with the amount of damage you do. Again, look at this. I say it out here, it happens there. That is the Cubs rule, getting through the fight. That is a lot of damage being thrown out. No rocks. The only rocks we see are the rockets. That is Cubs damage. 1 hour, 37 minutes, 50 seconds. 7th place finisher overall. 1st place finisher on stream. Get your GGs out in chat while we see if we can't get Cubs rule in here for an interview.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you can kind of get lucky, hopefully lead off with a reflected nuke, and then another character with a decent, like say some decent bird to get the finishing blow, that helps. You want to be reflecting nukes, or reflecting any decent damage, quick damaging magic, as often and early as possible.
Speaking of damage early and as often as possible, we have Pale Dim going down on Beauty and Discovery side. Fantastic run that we have going on there. Great amount of XP. Who needs to grind some eggs when you can just go fight some bosses in here in the Giant? Again, GG's getting through that fight. Maiden Quebec going through some more of these moon bosses. Gonna find out just how much that Pain Man lives up to his moniker here. 1,000 damage here on these waves.
Pain Man, especially Pain Man, even regardless of whether it's free or not, it's just always a lot of work to get through, just to kind of stave off effectively instant death for a lot of the low HP characters. When you especially when it does a lot of damage, ignores any form of defense, it hurts. So that is why he is Pain Man.
Absolutely, we use him as a joke, but sometimes Pain Man is exactly as written on the box, and that's what you love to see. S-Grunt taking this free heal. Honestly, the free heal here in Dwarf Castle is an underrated heal. Who needs cabins when you can just take a quick little walk over, drink some Dwarven Brew, and get knocked through there? He's going to take that looking key. We know it's going to be nothing but a Dragoon Spear, but he might decide to even check out the boss for a little bit of bonus XP, or we may even have a cheeky door grind happening here. And I do hear two things. One, the 8th place finish of Possum Morpheus at 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 7 seconds, and the dong of joining in the booth of Cubs. How you doing tonight, Cubs? GG's on your 7th place finish.
Thank you. That was interesting seed, was it not?
The way you routed it was absolutely interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it was a thing.
So let's talk a little bit about this routing. You kind of left Ordeals for a little bit later. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
You have Rydia, you have Palom. What's your kind of thought about where you want to go, what you want to get done, and how you're feeling about your first little bit of looting?
I wanted something to get going, and there wasn't all that much in Watery Pass. There's a little bit. I mean, the Dwarf Axe was enough with the cane to just get some levels on Palom and start having a few spells, but it was a bit of a slow opener. Then, as soon as the hook comes and Edge is underground, well, then everything just kind of took off. And for not seeing Holy Swords in Eblin, that was actually a pretty good haul from Eblin. That Avenger basically took me through the hook route.
Speaking of Holy Swords, we did eventually see a Cecil, and I think you saw an X-Cal somewhere. Why did you decide at the end, knowing you have like a boss or two, maybe if you really wanted to, why did you decide to, instead of Rydia, yeet Cecil out of the party?
If I could have yeeted Rydia, but, no, there was an X-Cal?
I think there were a couple of Excals, or I know there's definitely a Crystal Sword in the trap chest of the 4 ogres. I could be very wrong in misremembering, but I thought I'd seen one. So we know
I
there's
did,
at least one Holy Sword there.
I
There's
didn't.
also an
Yeah.
Excal on the last arm, but that's way out of the way.
Yeah. If I had seen one, I would have done it. And then probably gone and popped an egg or two for Cecil. But no, I never saw. If I kept the defense sword out of Cave Magnus, I probably would have taken the Cecil. I just didn't have anything for him at that point. I sold everything for a couple Muras and Kokol.
Yeah, that poor Cave Magnus was one of those you look and go, oh, this is exactly what you want runners to do. And it was nothing, so a quick reset. I was even mentioning, it's like, oh, you have the routing of Cave Magnus into Zot. And you had Zonk into Zonk, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what led you to leaving Ordeals off for so long in this seed?
Just it had the ability to clear underground as soon as I got there, and by the time I got finished up with Evelyn, I had Quake on Palom. I had Edge was rocking a couple ninja swords, and I had the Avenger for Kane. The wall was pretty much no issue. It was just going to be, can I get through whoever's at King Queen? And at that point, it's just Feymarch just kind of took care of itself. And at that point, just, well, clear the underground. And then we'll go up and see what happens. I was hoping to spike a pan underground, because I hadn't done Fabul yet. That was a little unfortunate, but...
Instead, it was behind that CPU at the Mirasame altar. Again, so that fight, you see that there. How does that make you personally feel?
Really wanted I you know what, if he was gonna globe anyone, that was the right person to globe. I'm okay with that.
I even said the exact same thing. I said you got very lucky with who globed 99 got globed 999, and your damage came out fast and furious after that. So overall, these flag sets, I don't know if you played in the Monday race as well, but we've had this for a full week now. What are you feeling, like, how are you personally feeling about this flag set that our fantastic restreamer Asuka has crafted to let Rydia kind of take the spotlight and shine a bit?
I was hoping for a Bahamut orb to just blow things up at the start, but unfortunately that didn't happen. No, this is the first seed I played on these flags, to be honest. It's definitely a different way of thinking of things. I mean, I remember the Lunar Tour flag sets that this was kind of built to be a companion with, and it kind of flips that on its head. It's just, you can't just get to the moon and blow things up, because some of these summon spots are just awful.
Oh, absolutely. You get some lovely root spots. I don't know if you found him, but did you happen to find the DKC that was on the moon?
No, I did K Bahamut and then went top down and bailed out on Pan.
May I interest you in 1000 damage Dark Waves?
Only one, not 13.
They put spikes at about 1200. I've seen, you know, it hurts a little bit if you're not ready for it.
So
yeah.
DKC at Masa, then I take it.
I believe that's where he was. No, actually, that is King Queen Eblin. Actually, he's at the Crystal Sword.
Okay.
And as we see Escrunt going up there, I'm going to have a little bit of talk about this. Golbez at the Bahamut spot. How'd you enjoy that?
I hate that fight.
Which one? The Bahamut spot?
Golbez. That fight, it's not a problem. It's just awful. It takes forever. Although that may be the first time I'm ever happy to see the Life 1 face go off for Rydia.
We were talking about that, and we were like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be a problem, but you just kind of blitzed through the last of the HP. I think that the timing of that was absolutely perfect. And again, the RNG afterwards, Rydia being targeted by the Lit 3 to be reflected back, kind of, you know, chef's kiss. Sometimes you can't script this thing, right?
Yeah.
You can't script these.
That was, when it only left Rosa and Rydia, that was about as good as that fight could have gone at that point. Honestly, when it just whacked everybody else.
Absolutely. So you were our first runner, not only underground, first runner to finish the seed. any other real like thoughts about these flag sets, or to anybody who may have an idea of thinking about running something kind of similar? Any concept if we go to run this again?
I spent about a half hour praying there wasn't a magma key on the overworld.
Twin
Yeah.
you had burning a hole in your pocket?
Yeah, no, it just as early as I hit that hook route, it's just like I left Fabul, Ordeals, and Cave Magnus on the over. I'm like, well, there's probably a magma key. I'm probably gonna regret this, but let's go.
Absolutely. And you know what? You did go, you went into 7th place. Again, nothing to scoff at. We had 15 runners tonight, and a lot of the finishes, as you saw, kind of came in fast and furious. We had 4 finishes in 3 minutes. So that kind of shows to what we had here. Overall, how do you feel about your routing in the seed? Do you feel very happy with how you went?
I mean, obviously, if I could go back and do it again, I'd do Ordeals before, or before Zot or Magnus. But I never saw anybody that would really benefit from Ordeals, and that's kind of the one reason I put it off.
Oh, absolutely.
What you gonna do?
Deathlake, do you have any additional questions for Cubs?
Just one quick question. Obviously, you were the first one to get hook early on the restream. Were you concerned about the magma key, or you just decide, hey, heck with this. I just want to dive. Doesn't matter if there's magma key.
I guess I was praying from the moment that I went back into Evelyn Cave that there was no magma on the overworld, but at that point, I guess the one thing is if I do Ordeals early, I get a free foo, but I didn't need foo at that point. It just went in and I don't even remember who it was a free fight at King Queen. I don't even remember who that was at this point. And then
D-Lunars, actually, because we see it on stream with Beauty and Discovery right now.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's not really that, but it's maybe one of the few bosses you want to see there. It's not going to attack you physically. But the wall was just a damage race, and, well, 25 Bacchus were burning a hole in my pocket.
Yeah, you bought a lot of wine, and it did a lot of work for what it was.
Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you again for letting us restream you. You put on a heck of a show and a great showing tonight. I hope we get to see you again on the restream too very soon. And thank you for, in fact, you are one of the leads who got to put together tonight's show. So, GG's to letting us have a fantastic group together.
Yeah, you get to blame me for this booth. You're welcome. Thank you very much, Asuka, behind the scenes, Beauty, for holding off Possum from the buttons as he was racing. Deathlike, thank you for comms. Dathis, you're on comms. You're not restreaming. There's not supposed to be vanilla when you're not restreaming.
Look, apparently I just have that level of power that just overwrites anything. I don't know what it is. I just work here, man.
Makes 2 of us, but I thank you very much for the restream. I'm gonna duck on. Everybody have a good night. See you back here soon.
Yeah, have a good night, and GG's one more time.
Thank you.
Again, Cubs Rule 21, our 7th place finisher, 1st place finisher on stream. GG's to him with a time of 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 50 seconds. And again, just a little correction, that is Dubward who is our tracking, keeping Possum Morpheus off the buttons and keeping us honest here up in the booth and keeping track. Speaking of keeping track, has made it so that Made in Quebec is out of 4 out of 5 objectives, just looking to be finished the Baron Basement now.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably gonna find trying to do Keyless Tower. Interesting. Not trying to follow up on the pan, which would lead to the Baron key. But okay, it's decisions.
So Keyless Tower is a smart idea. What I'd be doing here, and I think what they're going to be doing now is, yeah, they're going to be save scumming to see what is up top. The more correct from here up in the booth play is going and save scumming that pan to see if there's anything there, since you have a save outside of here. So you check pan, is it nothing? Okay, cool, right back down to here. Whereas if pan is something, you follow it. Again, no call is wrong. Each call is correct. It's just what we know in the booth here is this is the more correct option. And speaking of correct option, we have our 10th place finisher of Charlie while we were having that conversation with Cubs Rule. 1 hour, 49 minutes, 29 seconds. GG's out to Charlie for getting a good finish. Again, these times, this is a seed that is very deceptive. If you are doing the typical middle out, you get a little bit more experience and you find a little bit more fights that you weren't ready for. If you go bottom up, then again, same kind of concept. You're seeing a little bit more fights. It's where the top-down approach is the right way to do it, because it's where the key items all are. You go right from Cave Magnus to Mirror Summit Altar, and then you have yourself everything you need for Go Mode. I'm actually pretty sure that was the story of Monday's race too.
Yeah, I don't like full top down. I just like kind of delayed top down. More like delayed bottom up. Just do the top, and then do standard ribbon room, etc., and then do Wyvern last. I don't know. Crystal Ultra just kind of like weirdly out of the way, and not appealing unless you're doing true top down. And then it is what it is. It's always fun deciding this of the 3 routes. Which way do you want to do it?
Yeah, and again, that's the thing. No pathway is wrong. It's what is the most correct call based on the information we have at the time. And it's really interesting to see how people take the information that we have and go about the different paths that they have. It's very interesting to see that I would call this way to go, but then, for example, Deathlight might have another pathway they want to go. Made in Quebec is a different way they want to go, very clearly. S-Grunt has a different way they like going about it. It's just, again, the way that we make our decisions is very interesting and really impressive and surprising with the way people go. Speaking of surprising, I'm pretty sure Made in Quebec is not surprised by finding a vanilla tower key after the other lovely scoops of vanilla here, and is going to cash that in for yet another Zonk, as we know that the pan is truly what's needed. But again, little bit bonus experience, fantastic. Wild Beauty and Discovery fighting that lovely Odin, and S-Grunt is getting nuked by this Wyvern, and it just tickled only a little bit.
I think in Quebec's case, if I remember correctly, Quebec also did Sealed Cave. So this is more of I'll do everything underground before I leave the underground. Is one of sometimes, or it's on the way. Might as well do this before I leave. It's kind of that type of deal. So it makes it. It's kind of one of those, it's not randomish, although sometimes it can seem random. That the route, when you route, it's like, what do I really want to do first? Do I want to do X, Y, or Z first? And this happens to be essentially effectively one of 2 choices, kind of like on Quebec's mind. So I think it's different. Obviously, it's easier when you're a viewer. It's harder when you're the runner, thinking with what the information you have at your hands right at that time.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. It's the information you have at the time is what really heavily influences your decisions. And you're right. There are times where you just kind of look at areas and go, I guess I'll finish this one entire section before I go up into the overworld, or that. It's the same thing as when we decide if we're missing about 4 or 5 different key items, we're going to loot the entirety of the moon, find the pass, and say, okay, we're never coming back to this place again. Which is honestly not a bad idea. It's so you have it out of your mind, as opposed to dipping early and then you hear that little voice in the back of your head that goes, "But you left the moon behind. Why did you forget this check?" And trust me, every runner has it. It may not sound exactly like that, but every runner has the voice in the back of their head that's just like, "You made the mistake by not finishing this." And yeah, that's pretty much what I agree with you, what Made in Quebec is doing. But again, going and checking that pan right now, gonna get the Baron key.
I think sometimes you just fade something unintentionally because you figure I can route this in later, and then you forget to actually route that in, and it just happens that way. So it's understandable sometimes. Even runners just forget what they wanted, but they faded to eventually do it at some point. but for routing purposes. But so sometimes you might even forget, like, hey, I don't need like in the seed you could do everything but not do ordeals because hey, I don't have a Cecil, I don't have a Tala, so not doing Mount Ordeals is it makes sense from a routing perspective. Except we know the darkness crystals there is required, so that's I think that's what delayed I think Beauty from getting to the moon.
Absolutely, and what we also see in Beauty's inventory as they pick up that as he picks up that Baron key, did happen to loot that pass, so doesn't matter. Decided, hey, I want to finish with the underground, so I don't have to think about it again. Gonna get through this Baron check, and then probably just rush right through to that Troya treasury door there, as we see it there in the inventory. That is a lot of key items that are kind of truncated and dead. We have ourselves the Sand Ruby, we have the Magma key, which, well, that's gonna be gone. But aside from that, it's going to be you know what, as we mentioned, as our tracker Dubword mentions, they missed all the pass. You know what, you get a pass tonight. There was a lot of chaos happening all at once, so honestly, as we see here, we are fantastic up here. We are not faultless though. We as restreamers miss things, we as commentators miss things, and even the trackers miss things too.
Yeah, I think since the pass is essentially in any treasure chest, it's not a key item. So I think the distribution is like there's one on the overworld, twice of a chance to get underground or on the moon. So it's like 3 possible chances total, but the distribution is it is what it is. So it's interesting and convenient where it is literally right next to a save point. But if you're at the late stage, you're probably not looting it, but yet it's there. So sometimes, even the looting decisions are just as effective or not as effective to speed up times.
Speaking of effective, that plague was effective at absolutely wasting about 20 seconds of Maiden Quebec's time. Yeah, I've seen some very weird areas for where this pass is. One of my favorite loots was actually in the Troya back, like when you in the main Troya town. If you go back and the treasures that are in past the water area, there was a pass there at one point. I just went, I never loot here, and I just found it. So sometimes they are in the weirdest of places, but every time you check weird places like that, that's when you find the really fantastic items. And that's what you need. And speaking of needing beauty and discovery, is fighting this lovely dark elf here. Has the piggy go off on the right character. Meanwhile, we have Esgrunt doing some more fights in the moon, finding the actual pain man. That Cure 4 comes off a little quick, but should generally be okay.
Yeah, I think the piggy was trying to drink some wine, and that wasn't going to work. So that was kind of the irony of that Berserk being actually one of the lower. Effectively the lowest status priority. Technically, I think the only thing that is technically lower but isn't lower is like the ray from Val, the gradual petrification. That has the lowest, but actually has a stronger priority. It still works, whether Berserk or not. So yeah, Berserk not actually, it's really low, the lowest on the totem pole from being prevented, easily being prevented of being applied.
And again, it's the way that the status priorities work is a very interesting thing, and it's like agility. It's kind of like witchcraft. Speaking of witchcraft, Maiden Quebec is getting the item that is here in the Baron Castle. Actually decides to pick up the Cecil. Does have the Crystal Sword. With the one fight that you honestly are going to find here, give on some gear, and this Cecil is going to do roughly as much damage as what this cane is. It's kind of incredible just how much damage you get from a Crystal Sword. If we had a bandana as well as a Zeus Gauntlet, it would be very much equivalent to what this cane could be doing. But in the same token, yeah, Crystal Sword, kind of bonkers damage. And I'm here for this pickup.
Probably want to do a quick egg grind. We're probably probably do all the bosses just to collect some XP. Also providing the. Oh no, we already done that. So providing the exit. So yeah, that's all. Yeah, although I could still be. So Cecil still could be one shot from an ice tube, but that's still a low chance. But and when everything's a bit random, it certainly can happen. And it looks like Beauty is trying to peek the sealed cave. I think it was a Dragoon Spear, though, and probably will reset out of it immediately.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Just the Dragoon Spear here. There's a couple of them in this seed whatsoever. Also takes that lovely free chest there. Speaking of, while we have some peeking going on by Beauty and Discovery, and Maiden Quebec is fighting this very East Leviathan, and Escrunt is about to get his pan, we have an 11th place finisher. 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 3 seconds, 1 second off from a 2:22, is Tybalt the Gambler. Looks like taking those risks did not pan out this time. 11th place, again, still a great place to finish. GG's to him. This is a shenanigans seed if I ever saw one.
Yeah, the key items, not. I mean, the one key item you actually need, much kind of deep into the seed, so not. The ones, it's always that last key item you need, and it's not in the best place. So sometimes it's, I mean, and with a boss battle that no one's truly fond of, unless you like CPUs and rocks being thrown at it. And that's about, yeah, it's a seed. So and hey.
Look, double swag rocks. Yo, you know what? Shout out to Escrunt may not be first place on the restream whatsoever, but first place in my heart for that level of swag. Speaking of level of swag, Maiden Quebec gets objective number 5 right done there. We have Crystal obtained. 2 hours, 4 minutes, ready to go. Gonna be heading right to Troya and finishing off the seed real quick.
And of course, visits from the inventory boss with the, I think, starting Azura +1, because I don't. That's yes, that's.
By the way, Baron Castle, one of the few you cannot exit from. You have to walk out. Hey guys, I have petitioned. I've tried to make it so that they can exit out of here. I'm like, oh, I don't want to save you so much time. Look, I don't care. I want to exit out of all castles. The only castle you cannot exit out of. But yeah, Escrunt, super swag, double Medio is very entertaining. Gets that pan and says, you know what? I'm done. That was also his last fight on the moon, so going from bottom up doesn't get him as fast of a moon clear, but all those experience levels, if there was ever a problem with experience, not anymore.
Yeah, when you're essentially doing a lot of the so effectively you're grinding on the moon, it's nicer than to actually having to do a direct grind. It's not always a time saver, but I always find it just convenient. You're not getting experience that will be kind of less than useful later, and if you can do, but obviously your trade-off is that your commitment to how much time you're committing to that for the power you don't have kind of changes the math. So it depends on how things work out in a seed.
Yeah, the whole grind early, grind often honestly, it's not a bad concept. And same as save early, save often. But we see Maiden Quebec, 19 eggs. I think we're going to be getting some levels here on this poor Cecil, who's going to be taking any fight that whatsoever you kind of look and go. That is about it. Also, again, big shout out to Tybalt, who has decided to raid us. Welcome, raiders. As we see, we are just in the finishing parts of the seed you just watched completed. We have Escrunt, who is going and looks like he's gonna be doing the Sheila 2 check to turn in the pan, getting his crystal, whereas Maiden Quebec getting a couple levels with his brand new Cecil, and Beauty and Discovery getting a lovely tower key for his trouble.
Yeah, and we'll find out really soon that tower key leads to effectively nothing. It's funny. Keyless Tower, it's always like it's a gamble to hoping that the tower key is literally in its vanilla spot, and sometimes it's worth that gamble, even though it's in the vanilla spot. The gamble itself, not really worth it this seed. It's kind of it is interesting sometimes. I actually like doing it if you have nothing else to do in terms of like you're trying to do all of the underground, and before you want to clear out as much as you can before you leave it, then it makes sense to do.
Absolutely. I'm also a big fan of doing the entirety of the underground just so you never have to worry about it again. Just the last issue that you have to think about. Again, you never have to worry about this leg one more time. Just a quick, easy fight, get out of here, and then you look and go, well, I got nothing for it aside from the memories we made along the way. And again, it's a story to talk about later. But we have Made in Quebec getting what I think is enough levels, and I'm kind of excited to see when we get this fight, to see him fight the Protomus.
Yep, I think it looks like a last equipment check before going. Not much to optimize. Although I think maybe trying to figure out the inventory boss problem. Trying to equip the Avenger Sword, but not enough space to de-equip the shield before putting it on. That's the inventory boss has its ugly head, and I definitely love it. Sometimes there's just a lot of junk that accumulates, and they must all go. Everything must go.
Absolutely. We're about to go fight Zeromus. We don't need anything in the inventory that's not worth it. Like, say, 20 sirens that somebody may have been holding in their inventory when they went to go fight. Nobody's ever done that before. Definitely not me. Definitely not our first place finisher on Restream. Whereas Beauty and Discovery is getting yet another key that you just look at and you go, yeah. Even I'm kind of looking at it going, yeah, really? Magma key? All right, then. Not exactly what you love to see, but, you'll take it and just kind of shrug and go, well, time to go turn in this pan, I guess.
Yeah. Magma key in the underground is best mockery of your time. It's like, yeah, you're already in the underground. Thanks. Yeah, it's a great thing of the randomizer to remind you that sometimes there's only one way underground, and you better like it, unless you're lucky, or both items are on the overworld, and then once in a while someone takes advantage of that.
Absolutely, and it's really entertaining when stuff that's on the overworld that you look and go, oh, this shouldn't be here, and it's kind of just like blatantly in your face, and but I left this for later. Why is this happening? Yeah, it's always a lovely bit of shenanigans. S-Grunt, speaking of shenanigans, we have Made in Quebec, who is going to be entering Z-Fight for the first time. I'm really excited to watch this Cecil do a lot of work, because that Crystal Sword is going to do a hot bit of damage.
Probably best assist from the slingshot, because when your character is 10 levels below the median level, the middle character in terms of levels. That allows that character to get double the XP, which made that grind. I think the grind was just to get Rydia to level 50 to get Nuke. So that kind of literally slingshotted Cecil to very well equipped damage potential. And it looks like S-Grunt has done the last objective, so I guess it's time to figure things out before going to Z. So again, a walk, and I don't think the Jez will change exit. Baron, I think Baron can't escape it. That's why exit doesn't work. That's the new lore. It's too powerful.
You failed to grasp the Baron Castle's true form. Yeah, so we do have the walkout here. A little bit unfortunate here, but as it happens, Beauty and Discovery has decided that they are going to check another couple of key items. Looks like, actually from our tracker mentioning on Beauty and Discoveries, forgot to notice that they had the pans, so this is one of those you forget everything, and this is why sometimes you kind of want to double check your inventory every once in a while. Nothing wrong with this. It's just this is what happens when you're in race mode, and it happens to the best of us. I know that I have personally forgotten many checks. I've had a time where a race was almost decided by Antlion, to where people were saying afterwards, we were telling you go to Antlion, but obviously they weren't really saying it. But they were just kind of like mentally whispering it, and yeah, I left it till probably one of the last locations. That's what happens when you either forget about things or you just, yeah, you just are in too much of a rush and your mind is a mile a minute.
Yeah, sometimes it is just, there's a like an early decision to fade something where some people popularize fade Antlion or fade Fabul, and turns out there's your key item, and you forgot that you faded early. You know, you decided it was kind of one of the decision right then and there. So yeah, it's happened to everyone. I think if I forget, I have to check the in the menu. There's a key item check thing where it tells you how many key items you've picked up, just to remind you, just in case, if you not in addition to Rose's mom as the hey, there's your key items left.
Speaking of key items that left, we do have Maiden Quebec, who is in the Z fight right now. Damage is coming out fast and furious. Rydia is on the ground, but she is going to reflect off yet another nuke, whereas this Cecil is knocking out 4,500 damage. Kane, 3,100 damage. The DPS is coming out fast and furiously, whereas Beauty and Discovery is going to give us our 4th listen to music. That is the lock theme. I'm very happy about this. And we're going to have that going while we have dueling Zeromuses, both Escrunt and Maiden Quebec. I'm excited to see who finishes first, but I have a bit of a feeling it might be Maiden Quebec. Though I do say that, and I have had the times where it's been a big bang into a counter nuke, which is not a fun thing to have happen when you see that nice big shot happen at you. But, you know, you kind of go through with what you got, and we have dueling Proto Man to the sound of Lock Theme. And there we actually have a crash, bang, boom, 2 hours, 14 minutes, 40 seconds. GG's to Maiden Quebec, 12th place finisher, 2nd place finisher on your streams. Big shout outs to him, and we'll see if we can't get him in for an interview.
GG's to Quebec. That was definitely power overwhelming. I mean, you've gotten all your levels. You've got your burr. I mean, it's hard to say no to that. And usually pretty efficient. Looks like Escrunt is doing. Looks like May. I think it's full May strats. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, full reflect strats. Definitely a different way of approaching fighting Z. So that means Kane is on potion duty. So you know, someone's got to heal, and it has to go through reflect. So it's better than not doing anything. Could contribute a little early, but you want to rely on your spellcasters to do all the work, and I hope it's fast enough to defeat Z in this manner.
Absolutely. And speaking of defeating Z, Beauty has decided to actually check their inventory and finds that they do have the pan. I really hope that they notice that. I'm curious to see where they go from here, but I did hear a little bit of a ping in my ear. We have a joined by Maiden Quebec. GG's on your finish, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. It was certainly quite a fun ride. Oh my god. Yeah. So...
Absolutely. So let's go over the start of this seed. What we have here. You have Iridia, you have a Palom, and you have the entirety of Nova World. What's your plan of attack, and how do you feel?
Well, honestly, I don't think I really had a plan to begin with. That's just I didn't even knew that free character was on, so that was not even out of the question until I went to just pop the other crap that I said they were on. We're like, hey, let's make a team, you know? And so I really just went from there and, you know, from one place to another and see where it took me, you know? But I quickly realized that the place I had to go was the moon, but I really didn't want that. So I really tried to find any kind of way I could do to just drag it out for as long as possible until the inevitable happened.
Okay, and I just want to jump in real quick. GG's to Beating Discovery, who, as you see officially on screen, has forfeited. It was a fantastic run by him. And again, when you get to a point where you just get frustrated, the seeds no longer get fun. Never be afraid to FF out of it. It's just these seeds are meant for fun, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's the way you got to go about it.
Yeah, totally agree.
So again, let's continue on. So you have that lovely evil wall with that hook route. How do you feel when you're looking and facing down a hook route that has an evil wall at Rubicon?
Honestly, I don't mind him that much. You know, I think Evil Wall, you know, I know he has a bad reputation, you know, of being somebody that everybody hates to see. But for some reason, he really doesn't bother me too much, you know. Yeah, I know he hurts and the timing's gotta be right, but usually, you know, it worked out. And I was really happy that it just worked out just fine. Had a couple deaths, but that's okay, you know, as long as we make it through, that's all that matters so that we can just keep on going.
Absolutely. And speaking of keeping on going, you eventually got to find that CPU fight, which held the pan, which held the true key to the seed, which was the Baron key at the very end of a lovely chain.
Yeah.
That fight, how do you feel about that CPU fight?
CPU fight was great. The only thing I'm not happy is that I didn't do it the first time I went on the moon. I'm pretty sure I could have got it through and it would have saved me, you know, a whole lot of like searching. Where did I go? Where did I not go? Where should I go next? And there was a lot of these questioning. Just if I had done that the first time I went to the moon, I think it would have been like 100 times better, you know. But unfortunately, that's not what I did. But that's okay.
And you know what? Sometimes that's what it's about. Free enterprise, knowing the power that you have and what you can and cannot take at the time.
Right.
And you know what? That's a great decision. You came back later. Speaking of coming back later, you came back to a grind later with that Crystal Sword Cecil. What did you decide hey, I'm going to take this and then do some extra grinding?
From as soon as I looted that Crystal Sword, I decided there's only Cecil that's gonna make it into my party, you know. Except that maybe I still had Palom back then, but Palom was already gonna be sacrificed for Fu if I found it. So it was really just a question of where and when and if. So even if it was like the end of the seed, I was not quite happy with the HP the rest of the team had. So it was no issue for me. It was just like, come in, Cecil, you know, you're gonna do the work. And I decided to just bump Rosa and let Fusoya take care of the healing business while everybody else could just do on damage. And I wanted to make sure to, since it's a Rydia hero seed, I wanted to make sure that she was front page, so I made sure that she did plenty of damage to the final boss.
Absolutely. And you did have that Rosa do chunks of damage. She did some great work throughout the seed with the Artemis bow and everything else.
Yeah.
So is this your first or your second time racing these flags?
It's the second time. I did the other race. I think that was on
Monday.
Yeah. So I did that one. It was a great seed again. I really enjoyed it, like from beginning to the end. That one was a little more trickier. I think it had a little traps in there, you know, to kind of like send you off track. But overall, it was still quite fun to run, you know.
Absolutely. So overall, how did you feel about doing the salty run back, and what are your opinions on this lovely bit of seed that shows off Rydia as an overall?
Well, I think it's great. Honestly, I love Rydia. I've always had really a soft spot for her. So for me, you know, everything that's going to be centered around her is going to be a great seed, no matter what the rest of the flags are. It's all going to be just fine.
Fantastic. And Deathlike, do you have any questions?
I guess the only question is would uh would I don't remember the LST run you did, but did you I think you just did CPU and then faded that. I'm trying to remember.
I started from CPU and then I went straight up or down. I'm not really sure which direction you take it, but yeah, so I really started from the pale dim spot and then just went all the way through the crystal room to mass immune. The only one I faded was DKC, because when I got there, I was really hoping you didn't have anything that was stopping my progress, but it was just way too fast, way too dangerous, and I was like, I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna move on and hope that I'm not gonna have to come back ever again.
Yeah, fortunately, that I don't think the DKC provided anything of value. So yeah, that it was just CPU.
Yeah. So that was quite a relief, when I found that Baron Key. I was like, yes, I don't have to go back to the moon. I really didn't want that.
Yeah, who does?
Yeah.
All right. Again, thank you very much for letting us show you off tonight, Made in Quebec. GG's. Fantastically well done. And if I can personally say so myself, I think you should be joining the Restream team. Get that lovely voice doing some commentary up here. You may be new to the community, but my friend, this is the kind of stuff we love to foster. So I'd love to see you doing some more commentary with us. And again, GG's on your run.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And thanks to everyone else who makes this happen, because I think it's a really great experience. So I'll definitely keep on going.
Absolument. Fantastic. And you have yourself a wonderful night.
All right. You too. Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Again, that was our lovely Made in Quebec 12th place finisher, 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 40 seconds. GG's to him. And we are now joined by our 14th place finisher, 4th place finisher overall. Nothing to scoff at. Fantastically well run. S-Grunt with a time of 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 29 seconds. GG's, Grunt.
Thank you.
All right, so as I've done with everybody else, start of the seed. You have yourself a Rydia, you have yourself a Blitzwhip, you got a Curse Ring, and you got yourself a Balam. How are you feeling about the beginning, and how you feeling about that seed overall? The seed to start, and what's your plan of attack?
Well, I knew by the time, when free characters is on, I usually spend some time just looking at who my character options are. Of course, you saw me do that. I knew by the time I was heading up Ordeals that the party that I had assembled of Palam, Kane, and Rosa was probably going to be the final party that I was taking through things. I kept Kane around specifically in case I ran into Val, which ultimately never happened, but still.
Yeah, I don't think we even saw Val on stream. She may have been hiding somewhere, or she may have been she who is not appearing in this seed. So we have ourselves the loveliness that is that hidden hook that is behind the D-Mist, which was at Hobbs actually. How do you feel about that cheeky little hidden?
Well, the thing is that I don't very often play the combination of free characters and no free key item. So it leads to me forgetting that Hobbs is a thing, because I'm generally not interested in taking the character there at all. And you saw me flail around quite a bit trying to figure out what is it that I'm missing. I know I've checked everything that I can think of, and I haven't found D-Mist yet, so where is D-Mist? And so that's what led me to start lurching around as you saw me do, up until I remembered that I hadn't done Hobbs yet.
Absolutely. So you finally go through Hobbs. You see not only that Kane, but you also see that D-Mist. What was the safe for stream thought that was coming through your head?
Oh no, not again.
All right, so we get through that. You get yourself underground through a fairly tame evil wall after going through all of that. And let's go through some of the rest of the stream. We have ourselves a vanilla tower key that leads into a magma key, which is very useful at this point. We have ourselves a dwarf castle that brings up not much, if I remember correctly. Then we have the darkness crystal sitting on Ordeals that I know a couple of people faded. What was your thought about the way that Asuka decided she wanted to lay out shenanigans in this seed?
I'm still mostly angry that I needed to full clear the moon in exactly the wrong order in order to get that pan and that berry key. I mean, the keyless tower thing was specifically so that I could get myself to 10 key items to get everyone up to nuke before I, get Paladin and Paladin up to nuke. At least everybody was going to have nuke by the time I was finished clearing the moon things at that point. So I'm glad that that paid off at least.
Absolutely, it was fantastic that you did have a little bit of payoff. So you see that pan after going through the CPU fight, and then the pan leading to the Baron key. I assume there were some choice words, but how overall, what was your thought about how the pathing of this seed went?
It's the way everything is laid out is naturally going to lead to a lot of people last locationing something. I imagine for some people that would have been the darkness crystal. Imagine for a lot of people it would have also been that pan, depending on the order that you're doing things in. Or you might have had people on the moon deciding to clear everything else in the hopes of that berry key to turn up somewhere that isn't behind that pan. But oh well.
Absolutely. And again, so we see a crystal, we see an X-Cal somewhere kicking in the seed. We saw a crystal sword somewhere, and you see that Cecil. What made you choose the final team that you had?
I never saw Cecil. I never saw the X-Files. I never saw the Crystal Sword. As I knew that I just wanted to take mages throughout most of the game because it would minimize the amount of looting that I would need to do. And of course, Kane was around specifically in case I ran into Val. That's it.
Cecil was actually in Baron. He was the Baron character check you would have done. Regardless, not important. I do love me some Reflex Rats. You were actually the only one on stream who went through for pure Reflex Rats, and I am excited the fact that we had that level of difference of strategies. Deathlike, do you have any questions for our good friend Escrunt?
I think you was it did harp. I think the first on restream to do harp was that and I think Zot, and both were those are womps. How was that hole you dipped in?
Yeah, well, Zot was specifically because I wanted to check Treasury, and I was there anyway. I just wanted to see if I could pick up some better equipment for Kane at the very least. Harp was specifically because I was looking for another key item in order to get people up to, in order to get up to 10 key items and then start the grind.
Yeah, that Treasury was at least was pretty decent, right? That was exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's all I have. That's all. But then GG's again, Escrat.
Thanks.
Again, GG's. Thank you very much for letting us restream it, and you have yourself a wonderful night.
Thanks to everyone on the restream crew. Thanks for everyone for putting up with my last locationing of everything, and have a good evening, everyone.
All right, again, thank you very much. Again, that was Escrunt, last place finisher in the race and last place finisher on Restream. Again, nothing wrong with that. Everyone makes the right calls for them as they go through. Last locationing is a thing. We've all done it. I've done it. Everybody in this Restream booth has probably done it at one point or another. Big GG's, big shout outs to our runners. Please, please, please follow them. Cubs, Escrunt, Beauty and Discovery, and Made in Quebec, all fantastic runners in their own rights. Give them loves, follows, likes, and lots of encouragement. We need more talent like what we have in here in this race, and it shows off the very wide variety that we have. Additionally, we have Oscar424 and Dubword on our restream and tracking. Give them a little bit of follow, a little bit of love, and a little bit of attention too. And my co-commentator Deathlike, again, who has been keeping me in some fun shenanigans, memes, and keeping us here in the Restream. Speaking of Restream, we are done here tonight. That is the last bit of free enterprise we're going to have from us specifically, though we are on our way to go raid Solaris, who's running some of the Zima Zone 5 flags. Make sure you give him a whole heap and heck of a lot of love as well. Do not spoiler what the race just happened here. Do not fret. On the main free enterprise channel, we have at 3 o'clock Eastern, Baron's Hero's Journey. Words are hard, I promise they are. And we're going to be showing off yet another round of that. Enjoy. You guys have yourselves a wonderful evening, and we shall see you back here tomorrow afternoon. Maybe even for a little bit of a surprise.
He means vanilla. Have a good night.
Nom nom.
See you next seed.